Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another edition here of Orpheus Plays. We are doing another edition of the Madness and Mayhem podcast today, and I wanted to talk today about something that is kind of discussed but not really in Hollywood and in real life, and that is, what are you like when people aren't really paying attention in public, right? Like, what kind of a person are you when you're not out there doing the everyday, like, smiling at everybody? Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. I hope you are doing well wherever you are today, whether it is day or night, or you just found out that your favorite celebrity is actually kind of a dick bag. We're going to get to that in just a second. Anyway, so my question today is pretty simple. What kind of a person are you when you're not around, like the general public? In other words, you go down to the store, or you go to school or to class or to wherever. What kind of a person are you when you're in public? Are you generally a nice person? Do you smile and wave and, hey, how you doing? I just did an episode recently on hi, how are you? And do we actually mean that when we say it in public? And I think that ties into this very strongly. There are a lot of people who, we call them fake as F, right? They're fake, right? Yeah, they're the people that we can kind of catch on that they're being a douchebag, but kind of not. And that's where it gets interesting, because when you think about someone that is so able to just be in public and put on a happy face and make it look like they're an amazing person, like whether they're known for being on TV, or there's someone in your neighborhood that everyone knows really well, or a community member like a city council person or your mayor or something like that, it is interesting to see that those people can hold up such a bold and brave face to the world, right? And I say brave like, like not like, oh, they're such a brave person, but more like, they're the kind of person that is able to do that in the face of just about any hardship or like weird stuff that goes on in public. So like, you crap your pants or something. Someone that is one of those, hold it together types will have no problem just being able to go la 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 and just go on with their day. Whereas someone that is, less able to do that stuff obviously will have more trouble with it. Now, for me, it goes a little deeper than just like, what am I like in public? What am I like in private? I'm one of those people who is a diagnosed sociopath. Yes, that's right. Antisocial personality disorder with a leaning towards the social psychopathy sort of thing. They don't really call it that anymore. The social psychopathy thing, they don't really call it that anymore. They just say antisocial personality disorder, and then the therapist will mumble about like sociopathy, So that's kind of what I have going on. I could technically be labeled as a sociopath, and so I'm very, very good at being out in public and being very charming and smiling and letting everybody know that everything's cool. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, And then like in private, not with, I'm not like some monster when I'm not out in public. You can ask Mrs. Orpheus. I'm a perfectly wonderful person. It's just, I am very able to be a complete douchebag to other people if I don't feel like I'm being respected or whatever in private. And so that brings me kind of like to the idea of, what are you like? What kind of person are you when you're out in public, and you're smiling and laughing and having a great time and everything, and then like everyone goes away except for like, just a few friends or like this is a great example. Let's say you're out with a bunch of friends at a restaurant, right? And like they all decide to leave, and you don't particularly like the way that the server has been, acting and like doing their job throughout the night. Are you the kind of person that will suddenly like switch and start treating that server like you're a dick, right? Are you are you the kind of person that will suddenly turn to them and be like, you know what, all night you've been doing a crappy job. Could you bring me a beer or something without screwing it up? Are you that kind of person? And if you are, tell me about it in the comments. Don't be ashamed. This is YouTube. This is anonymous as hell. You can do whatever you want. No one knows who you are in real life unless you let them know. So, leave it in the comments below. Let me know what kind of a person you are in public and in private. What kind of person do you see yourself as? And maybe try to extend a little bit into like what other people see in you, So let's talk about I've got sort of a unique perspective on some of this stuff, and it is celebrities. There are celebrities out there who are absolutely notorious for being complete assholes when, when it comes to when they're not, like being watched by a bunch of people, like an award show or like, on camera or something like that. And I'll bring up the first one that is very obvious and very much talked about, and that is Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, she's one of those celebrities that apparently she comes across as like, America's sweetheart, their favorite person that does, afternoon talk shows. Yay, she's so generous and nice, and she's, she does the Oprah thing where you get a car and you get, I don't know if she's ever actually done that, but that's the kind of TV that she puts on. But the face that she puts on in private is absolutely a horrible biatch. She's apparently just a terrible person treating people like absolute ass off screen. Apparently her assistants and her interns and her the people that work for her say that she is it's just absolute an abomination in terms of trying to deal with her when she's off screen. She doesn't like to sign autographs, apparently, in public. I don't know. I'll get to another one of those in just a second. I have a personal experience with one of these. Another one that's supposed to be a complete ass is Mike Myers. So Mike Myers, he was the voice of Shrek. Hey, right? He was the guy who did Shrek. He was in just a whole bunch of movies. So I Married an Axe Murderer, The Love Guru, all those things like that. He was on Saturday Night Live as Wayne from Wayne's World. But apparently, from the stories that people tell, he's one of those celebrities that doesn't even want to look people in the eye. Like, if you're working with him, if you're like another actor that's, quote unquote, less than he is, someone that hasn't been acting for as long, apparently he just full on just refuses. If you look him in the eye, he fires people. Like, one of the assistants will, hey, how you doing, Mr. Myers? It's great to see you. Love your work. And then he'll be like, yeah, good. Yeah. And then like later on that day, you get a phone call from someone in personnel and they're like, you've been fired. Come on down to the office to collect your last check. And it's like, well, what the hell did I do? Like, Mr. Myers didn't enjoy the interaction that you had earlier today. Oh my God. Some other celebrities that are like this. Chevy Chase is supposed to be a complete ass. I sort of have a little bit of experience with him. I dealt with him just one time at an award show years and years and years ago. He was one of those people. He was talking to some family members of mine, and boy, that's a long story on how that came about. But anyway, he was talking to some family members of mine, and he didn't know I was related. And I came up and I was like, Mr. Chase, I've been watching you since I was a little kid. I love everything that you do. I just wanted to say thank you, and keep up the good work, that kind of thing. And he looked at me like I was 1 inch tall and covered in dog crap. Like, he was just like, who the hell are you and why are you looking at me, like that kind of thing. Some of the other experiences that I personally have with dickhead people, a good one that I like to bring up, I was waiting to go onto the Paramount lot in Hollywood. Well, is it Hollywood or Culver City? Anyway, I was there. I was waiting to go into the lot there at the Paramount lot, and I was sitting in as a passenger in someone's car. Right, the person who worked at Paramount. I was sitting in their car, and I saw walking down the sidewalk towards the entrance Patrick Stewart. Okay, Captain Picard. I saw him walking along, and I turned to the person I was with. I'm like, do you think I could probably get an autograph from him? And this person looks at me and says, yeah, go ask him. Why not? So I get out of the car. We were like 4th or 5th in line, and so I had a little bit of time to say hello. And it was the same thing. I walked up and I was like, Mr. Stewart, I'm such a big fan of you in Star Trek. I've also seen you in things like Excalibur. He was in a movie called Excalibur back in the 70s or 80s, maybe early 80s. Anyway, very good actors, Shakespearean trained and everything, did Stratford on the Green and all that thing. And so I'm like, Mr. Stewart, I just wanted to shake your hand and ask for an autograph. Is that okay? And he looked at me. He says, I don't give autographs. And I was like, okay, all right, well, have a good one. And I'll see you in the next Star Trek episode. And walked back, all my head hung low, and I got back in the car and I looked at the person I was with. I'm like, he didn't give me an autograph. He was kind of a jerk. And the person looks at me, he's like, really? Like, okay. About 2 weeks later, I got an autograph picture from Patrick Stewart. I got another one from Leonard Nimoy, and one from, who was it? Oh, man, I can't remember. He was Gene Wilder. Yeah, I got one from Gene Wilder as well. Now, another great story of some celebrities that actually were very nice to me. I was at a movie premiere. Again, this was a period in my life long ago when I was so engrossed in Hollywood. I was going to parties. I was hanging out with celebrities and stuff. I used to hang out and have coffee with Michael Douglas twice a week. That's a really weird story. He would go jogging down the beach, and anyway, my cousin, long story. We'll get to that in another episode. But I was at a premiere for a movie called Radio Flyer, and that was one where it's kind of a fantastical movie where there's the Radio Flyer wagon, and they track geese across the United States, I think. Is that what that's about? Hold on. Let me look this up real quick. I'm sitting in front of my computer. Radio Flyer movie. What's the plot here? Yeah, I think that's what it is. They do something about Anyway, they build an aircraft, and it's a really fun, loving story, and it's kind of a heartwarming thing. Anyway, Tom Hanks was in that movie, as far as I remember. At least he was at the party. Hold on, is he in that? I just closed it. Tom Hanks, are you in this? No, he's not. Yes, he was. Okay, so he was the narrator. All right. Elijah Wood was in this. Adam Baldwin. All right, so Tom Hanks was the narrator for it, and he was at the premiere party, and he was posing with the family member that I knew that was my, I guess, hookup to Hollywood. And he's standing there, they're taking pictures, and all of a sudden my relative waves to me, and he's like, come on in the frame here. I go, okay. And I stand there, and he's like, no, come on, right in here. And none of these paparazzi knew who I was. Obviously, I'm nobody. I'm just a schlub on the internet, I was nobody back then, and I'm nobody now. Although I brushed up against fame real close several times, almost famous a half a dozen times. I would have been a household name by this point if I'd taken a few really, really questionable opportunities. Anyway, so Tom Hanks was there. They're standing there, and Tom pulls me in next to him, puts his arm around me, and he's like, hey, how you doing? I understand that you know so-and-so. And I said, yep. And he says, okay. And everyone starts taking pictures, and some of the paparazzi start going, who's this? Who's this guy? And he goes, and Tom Hanks looks at me, and he looks at the paparazzi. He goes, this is Bob. And he goes, this is my friend Bob. And everyone's like, hey, Bob, wave. And I'm waving. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. So the next day in Premiere Magazine, they had a picture on page 5 or something like that. And it was a bunch of pictures from the Radio Flyer premiere. And one of them was my family member, Tom Hanks, and me. And it was labeled, family member's name, Tom Hanks and Bob. So I was in Premiere Magazine once. I was Bob, and that was just about it. Anyway, so that's my little story, my little blurb about that. I'm, in private, I'm not a nasty person, but I do not tolerate any nonsense. So I'll smile and nod at someone at the grocery store. I'm oh, hey, no, it's okay. You go first. You weren't here first, but you go right ahead. You obviously need to get out of here. No, it's totally cool. And then I'll get in the car with my wife, and I'm that guy was a complete ass. I would have punched him out if I had gotten any fucking balls behind me in front of her. So I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of a jerk in private, not to my wife or anything, but I have no problem calling out someone that's being a complete ass in whatever way. I did an episode a while ago called Fun with Flat Earthers, and like I'll get to a certain point with somebody, like this guy was rattling on about flat earth, and then I at one point you're an idiot. Like, I love to say that, and I guess that kind of betrays a little bit of like who I really am inside. I'm this boiling mass of rage that just hates stupid people and everything. But I'm cool with you right there. You're my friend, and I love you for it. Anyway, we will see you in the next episode of Orpheus Plays here on the Madness and Mayhem podcast. Do well, be well, and treat yourself well, because you know what? You deserve it. We'll see you next time. Bye.